and its weapons against you if nobody's there to protest, right? That's what I'm saying about us. I know it sounds a little different, that's all right. Evolution means that you have to evolve in a way, and you have to pick up characteristics in evolution. If you got all the food that falls down little crevices and cracks, you gotta go long, skinny fingers to go reach down in there and get it. Right? Evolution. And the ones that grow the longest and the skinniest fingers to get the food down in the cracks is gonna survive. And they're gonna pass on those traits to who? To their offspring. This is just history and it's nature too, right? Everybody, that's what it does. That's the type of evolution we're talking about. We're talking about now preserving not just history, but our families and making the society humane. When you talk about the big boys and all the money holders, they're going to use those dumb white people against you. When they was talking about the 99%, it's probably less than that now. It's probably the one. What is the percentage of people that own the world? You probably get 4 or 5 of them. Right? I mean, it's more than that. But I mean, it's really, when Marx talked about the concentration of wealth and the concentration of resources, he wasn't lying. The wealth would be concentrated in fewer and fewer and fewer hands. Right? Okay. Now it's our job so if it's a ton of us in the army and the military, if it's enough of us, we're not going to go fight those people over there. It's just like the 300 people at Port Chicago. Anybody heard of Port Chicago? When they was loading ammunition in World War II, and they refused to do it because there was no safety. Anybody? Okay, there was no safety. Port Chicago was not far from San Francisco. It was about 40 miles. Yeah. So the black sailors, after a while, refused. And they had 300 of them just said, we ain't doing that no more. They put them in jail, they court-martialed some. Of course, after a while, they let them all go after they was 100 years old. You know what I mean? They cleaned their record up, they gave pardons and all. But a while, they had to say, I'm not loading all that ammunition. They're going to have you carrying a big live shell in your arms to put on something, and you ain't even got a bulletproof vest or a helmet on. If that thing blows up, you done and all the Negroes around you, and ain't no white officers doing it. They're over there hiding under the cabin somewhere. Right?
You saw that with this last Palestinian-Israeli issue in South Africa, and I think in Italy. The shoremen were like, if it's going to Israel, we not loading.
Not loaded. Not only all of that, but I was in South Africa, they had not in our name. The Jews. See, there's a difference between Jews who remember what happened in the Holocaust, and it got them what happened to them because of certain reasons, and the Zionists. Do you know that Zionists are losing support in the United States?
Yeah, I've heard that actually. I
Okay.
mean, you hear it on the mainstream, but I don't know,
No. If you hear it in mainstream, they wouldn't say it unless they really lose it. Because see, what they're doing is overt.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And what
that's
they're doing,
obvious,
they have, when they brought Netanyahu in there, that was great because he's like Sharon. You know, he's like, you don't want to be brutalized, but you might as well have somebody that brutalizes maximum and with no remorse. Right? So it wakes the people up. They say, well, they can't be that bad. After all, the land is theirs. The point is, we're a people and we have to look out for ourselves and our families and our future. One thing that anybody knows, you can't trust boss man with your future. You can't trust boss man to speak with a forked tongue. That's what the Indians said. And he ain't never missed doing that. Right? Speaking with a forked tongue. Okay. So the point I'm making is, of course, this would be a new policy. It's legal, it makes sense, it's healthy, it's wholesome, and it carries a blanket of security with it. I don't have time. I definitely hope we have questions, but I'm telling you. Take your own security, your own future in your own hands. And anything we're doing, here it says, I don't want it to sound deceptive, but never expose yourself until critical mass. In other words, for instance, if you were in a police department and you had 5 or 4%, well, and they beaten up some Negro, well, you wouldn't expose yourself at that point. Y'all can't do that. No, you just don't beat him yourself. You know what I mean? But once you get 10%, 15%, you got a critical mass now. You see what I mean? It takes discipline to hold on that long. Because a person that just come out of the university and he gets, he's in the super duper police department, trained to kill, and he sit there murdering Negroes and doing that. He don't have to say nothing about it on day 1, day 5, or day 10. They have to make a decision when we've reached critical mass. There's enough of us here now. We've accumulated enough patterns of behavior, right? We've accumulated enough history. Now we can say no. And that would be in this police department, one thing, somewhere else. Included, we haven't mentioned the CIA, the FBI, all of those people. Hit them all. And you got to remember, these wars that we have is all to make money for the arms manufacturers and all of that, right? So all of our intelligence agencies structure all of their information so that it scares the American people, right? So that they can tell the arms manufacturers, produce more arms so we can kill more people over there for our own safety, right? So it's not just infiltrate the police departments. Negroes that go to these universities and everywhere, not infiltrate, that sounds subversive. Join and constitutionally cooperate with everything, especially until you reach a critical mass. Critical mass is when you decide that, hey man, we got 20% of 1.5 of us here. We ain't putting up with that no more. Right? Because it's easy to get the press on your side, the public on your side. And remember, the public is not the old-time public. Everybody in their teens and 20s, I think mixed race is the biggest group, isn't that right? Mixed race. All I know is when I go to California, I can tell when I hit California. Because this one place, there's a prison out there. And when I come off the highway, I get gas. When I go roll in there, man, it's Hawaiians, it's everybody. You know, and you go to McDonald's or something, get a fish sandwich or something, anything, you look at them, you're in California. Everybody is there waiting to go visit those prisons. Who's in prisons? Everybody. All the different peoples, like here, it ain't like that. But there, so goes California, so goes the world. The other thing is, I don't know if you keep up with cities and their infrastructure, whether it's Seattle, whether it's San Francisco, whether it's Oakland, LA, homelessness. America is, people are going to start blaming somebody for all of this. But I wonder who you think they're going to blame. You. They're going to blame niggas and Mexicans and anybody else they can. They're not going to blame themselves and say, we're not performing properly. Our highways are falling apart, our bridges are falling apart because niggas is driving on them bridges. And them low cars and go up and down, right? Anything, right? And if they control the levers of authority, they can stretch out. That's why we're living in a different time. Adaptability, I'm going to mention that. You have to be able to adapt to time, place, and circumstance. Right? We're talking about adapting to the 21st century, the mid-21st century. Okay, so we'll say a few more things and close up. You can give all y'all plenty of time. No. Have anybody watched the program? Since I got kids, they watch all this stuff, not me. Have anybody seen the recent Captain America?
Yeah, it's a black guy.
The guy with the wings.
He used to fly. I forgot the character's name, but
he's a Negro,
yeah.
right? Captain America used to be white, right? And they give you the stuff to go that he finally winds up that I'm gonna help America and all of that. But that's not the reason we do certain things, but here's the thing. The Zionist TV networks don't know what they're doing, or the Jewish, whatever we want to call it. Metro Goldwyn Mayer, whoever those people are, Warner Brothers, I don't have nothing to do with me, I'm just telling you. What's the name up in New York, the Negro professor years ago wrote a book called Empire of Their Own. Okay, that means that the brains and the minds of American people have been shaped and formed by the media that they've been watching. And it's basically true. They like who they're told to like, and they hate who they're told to hate. Right? A Zionist and a Nazi has the exact same program. The Zionists in occupied Palestine, they treat the Palestinians exactly like the Nazis treated them, like they learned that lesson. Well, right? It's exactly. But, of course, it's losing steam now. The Holocaust. Well, you go create a Holocaust now, they're saying, well, it is. They're doing the same thing. It just took a while for it to get there. Okay, we're going to keep going.
They even use the term pogrom.
Yeah.
The term pogrom in relation to
No doubt about it. That's why, see, people don't realize that you have to have the ability to hold on over long periods of time in the struggle. Okay? And if it says, I shall return, like Magaba, it may not mean in 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, right? It means you're going to get it together. When you get it together, mid-forces, high-tech. So our people should be in time mission-orientated. Armed forces, high-tech Negroes, it's a national quantum leap. We just talked about Captain America. Captain America is having a dialogue with one of the old Negroes back in the day that they did in Rome. Of course, Captain America, the new Negro America, Captain America. After all the dialogue, he comes out, I'm gonna go on and give it a shot. Because they redressed the grievance that the old Negro had from back in the day. It's a bunch of bullcrap. But the people, when they watch TV and they hear all of that, how much do they associate it as true? Almost all of it.
Oh, damn. They just soak it up, man. It's like sitting
They
over bowls and eating.
suck it up. So if you want to watch and ask the question, where are the people going? That's where they're being pointed at. That's where they're being pointed at, and that's where they're going. Yeah. Don't worry about it. This last attack in Palestine was one of the last wholesale slaughters that probably will witness because of the change. Don't mean it's the last, because of the changing environment. Does anybody notice the change in the, it's a change. Okay, remember,
It's different.
it's different, and look, we have to be on our job because our people are not woke.
No, not at all.
Our people are asleep. They real sleep. I mean, they in a deep sleep. They're in a deep sleep so bad, you know, if you're in a deep sleep and somebody wake you up in a hurry, you got 7 seconds that you could attack or do anything you want before you know what I mean?
It's so interesting that when Black Lives Matter came out and said they support what's going on in Palestine, when you read the comments, you saw people say, and they were being facetious, but you can tell where they were coming from. They were like, oh no, if y'all with them, we like Israel now. Because they were saying, if we know that what y'all about.
We
y'all
know what
about
y'all
the money.
do. Yeah.
So by you siding with the Palestinians, it's almost like you just side with the Palestinians to get money. But the comments were like, and I'm saying it from the standpoint you use woke. So it's been coming out based on what we have been talking about earlier, that Black Lives Matter is profiting from this whole situation.
Of course.
Okay. So now so anybody who they like, it's almost like they so confused that they don't want to be a part of it. And this is where we at. But at the same time, you know the people are still on the Palestinian side. They just don't want Black Lives Matter to be associated.
Yeah, being a champion in
they don't want
Palestinian
them to be
rights.
the champions of it because they know they've been.
Well, down in the sister city for Palestine is Ferguson.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, it's a sister city. You hear it all the time. You got to remember the trends are headed in the direction that we've been talking about.
Right.
since we don't have, as they say, a dog in this fight, we're not holding on to some cultural or historical likes and dislikes. We're looking at this just like this paper's right here. This makes sense, and that doesn't. You see what I mean? That's always been our policy. Since that's been our policy, it makes no difference when we down there with the Black Lives Matter thing. The Black Lives Matter people wouldn't even talk to us. And they know who we are. They gotta know. Somebody done told them, don't give them niggas no nothing.
Right.
Don't let no cameras get on them, right? Don't let this big policy here, and not only here, but the people that were doing things overseas, they're on the same team. Remember I'm telling you, they came here, they was, but this Black Lives Matter, I said, it ain't don't matter nothing. I had to tell the people, hey man, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, close up that notebook. They're trying to get me to co-sign, this is new, the American people are waking up and they're going to, so not this time, nothing. Those people, Antifa and all of them burning garbage cans, riding around on motorcycles in New York, all that dumb stuff. I said, no, man, I'm saying, this is not the time. In other words, this go round, maybe 2, 3 go rounds later, but this go round, hey man, they don't know what they're talking about, and you just ought to be proud of yourself. Okay, let me do demolition of Tel Aviv, Zionist facts. What about the Israelis and what have you? It was the Israelis that asked for this little ceasefire.
Yeah, that was one of the things. There were a lot of differences this go around, and that was one of the big ones. The Israelis were the ones trying to get the ceasefire.
Well, see, it's not only that, but the bum, what's the name? They playing, we're not supposed to like those people, and we don't like Netanyahu either. Well, they ought